10 things you didn't know about Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is one of the most unique players in NBA history. He comes from overseas and is pretty much unathletic, but he managed to take over the NBA by playing his own game. The Serbian is not the kind of person to enjoy media attention, so there are probably many things you don't know about him. Therefore, we created a list of 10 things you definitely want to hear about the two-time MVP. It's no secret that Jokic has already been chubby. Coming from Serbia, known for delicious food and pastries, young Nikola consumed plenty of it on a daily basis and drank at least 2 liters of Coke daily. That was more than 1,000 calories per day. And we are talking about around the time when he was in his early teens. Even when he started playing basketball, he ate half a kilo of Barrick after the morning practice every day. It sounds a little crazy, but I've tried Barrick. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, it's bussin'. Jokic cried before his first basketball practice. At number 9, in case you guys didn't know, Nikola has 2 older brothers, who we will discuss later in this video. But both of them played basketball. And when Nikola's dad tried to take him to his first practice, the 10-year-old Nikola started crying. He was terrified going into the gym. But once he realized he could actually play, he fell in love with the game. He started balling in a local club in his hometown, Sombor. Although he was an overweight child, he was allowed to dribble the ball and was actually a point guard early on. He was a regular on the court in his school, which actually has a mural of him today, and where he still plays with the locals in the offseason. Jokic was discovered in a newspaper. Next up, on number 8, you probably have never heard of Misko Raznatovic. He is a former player and a criminal lawyer who turned into basketball management. Misko was already a known agent with many star players under his wing. As usual, he was going through the sports pages in the Serbian newspaper Zrno when he saw an incredible stat sheet by a young kid playing for the junior team of Vojvodina. Raznatovic was and still is the chairman of the basketball club, Mega Vizora. He asked around about the kid and afterwards told his people to sign him. So he literally signed Jokic to a contract based on a stat sheet in the paper without even seeing him. Could not do a single push-up. But at number 7, Jokic was 17 when he joined Mega Vizora, a Serbian team that is known for excellent player development. When Jokic arrived there, he had size and great talent, but his physical shape was so bad that the team physio told the head coach that Jokic is incapable of practicing with the rest of the players because he will get hurt very quickly. Raznatovic and the coaching staff were patient enough and separated him from the rest of the team to practice individually to improve his physique. Jokic was so unathletic that he could not even do a single push-up. Jokic was MVP before you knew it. And at number 6, being a unique talent, Jokic developed his game so fast that he became a great player before he turned 19. In the 2014-15 season, Jokic won the MVP award of the ABA League, averaging 15.4 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game. If you are questioning the level of the league, you shouldn't. That is one of the top 3 toughest leagues in Europe, with many current and former NBA players coming out of it, such as Sasha Pavlovic, Vladimir Radmanovic, and Goran Dragic. NBA was not a priority for Jokic. At number 5, when Jokic was 19 years old, it was obvious that he was a world-class talent, and many teams were interested in him. With Raznatovic being the best basketball agent in Europe, he had the best team from the continent lining up to see Jokic. Nikola was aware that he was becoming an extraordinary player, but Raznatovic kept the scouting visits for himself. So one day, the scouts from Barcelona, one of the best teams in Europe, came to see Jokic, and they basically had a contract with him. Jokic wasn't aware of their presence and simply had one of those days when things didn't go well. He scored only 4 points in that game, with many turnovers and a poor shooting percentage. The Barcelona Scouts took some time to think about it and never called back. The rest is history. Jokic slept over the NBA draft. Up with number 4, Most NBA players will say that the night they were drafted is one of the happiest moments in their lives. That's the moment when all the hard work, sweat, and tears finally paid off. But not the Joker. The Denver Nuggets drafted Nikola Jokic with the 41st pick at the 2014 NBA Draft. Given the fact the time zone difference with Serbia is 6 hours ahead of New York time, Jokic didn't even bother staying awake to see his name would be called. Maybe he made the right decision, since when his name was called, a Taco Bell commercial was broadcasted live, so there's not even decent footage of him being selected by the Nuggets. Nikola is the youngest of 3 brothers. And at number 3, back on the topic about Jokic's 2 older brothers, Strahina and Nemanja, who live with him in Denver. When Jokic is asked if there is a player in the league he is scared of, he says the only person in the world he is scared of is his older brother, Strahina. He is a 7-foot-tall former basketball player covered in tattoos, who has also worked as a security guard and bouncer. The one in the middle is Nemanja, who played basketball at the University of Detroit Mercy in the middle of the 2000s. That was the time when Darko Milicic was one of the biggest busts in NBA history. He was also a member of the Pistons. Nemanja and Darko were close friends, and he was able to see firsthand what happens to young players who indulge in luxury and partying instead of training and professionalism. Strahina and Nemanja were aware that they made a lot of bad choices in their lives and were determined to not let Jokic go in that same direction. Jokic loved horses. And on to number 3. Believe it or not, even though Jokic was always great at basketball, it was just a hobby for him. His true love was horse racing. Growing up, Jokic was spending a lot of time in a barn taking care of the horses. This may sound a little hard to believe, but trust me, Jokic loved his horses more than basketball, for real. Jokic is also trying to keep his distance from social media, so he has no social media profiles. But once a year, he sits down with the local reporters who broadcast NBA games in his native Serbia. When he was asked about the happiest moments in his life, he didn't say winning the MVP trophy. Instead, he pointed out the feeling when his horse won a race. Another proof of his passion for horses is that the first thing he did after he signed a multi-million contract with the Nuggets was call his parents and said, "Now we can buy a house." Jokic is married to his sweetheart, Natalia. And for number 1, Nikola and Natasha met when they were both teenagers. Jokic was just a kid with a basketball dream. Jokic recalls that he met Natasha through a mutual friend on a bench in his hometown, Sombor. As he says, he fell for her right away, but he was hiding his emotions. They were just friends for more than 6 months. But when he opened up about it and told her he wanted to be more than just friends, he didn't get any response from her. Soon after they started dating, Natalia went on to the US to study psychology. His former coaches recalls that Nikola lost interest even in basketball when she left. But when Jokic moved to Denver to play basketball, the couple reunited and later got married in 2020. In September 2021, they welcomed their daughter named Agnian. Well, that's it for today's video, y'all. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.